Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Art Therapy, Healing Through Art. My name is Allegra Jaffe and I am a caregiver specialist with the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging. You should have received an email this morning with slides so that you'll have them for future reference. We will also allocate a few minutes of time at the end of the presentation so you can put in questions in your chat box in the panel. Today's presentation is being recorded and there will be a brief survey as you sign out. So if you could please give us your feedback, we would greatly appreciate that. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker and instructor, Alyssa Gogan. Alyssa Gogan is a registered board certified art therapist, professionally credentialed by Art Therapy Credentials Board. In addition, Alyssa is a licensed graduate professional counselor and a licensed graduate professional art therapist with the Maryland Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists. Alyssa's clinical experience covers a large range of populations, including pediatrics, adolescents, young adults, and geriatrics. Her training as a trauma-informed art therapist and counselor provides her with skills to address psychological and emotional needs, including anxiety, depression, PTSD, relationship building, and creation of positive coping strategies. Alyssa works from a strength-based approach and believes in the power of arts as a form of healing. She began her career as an art therapist with clinical hospital settings and finds benefit in collaboration with other care providers to support a whole person approach to care. Alyssa has previously worked with military families and is committed to supporting our nation's veterans and their families. Alyssa is going to share her expertise with us today. Thank you, Alyssa, and welcome.
Thank you, Allegra, and thank you to Fairfax County Department of Family Services for allowing me to spend some time with you all today to share something that is important and my passion and my work on a daily basis. So I'm going to share my screen and share a few slides with you today. So as Allegra said, my name is Alyssa Gogan, and I am the art therapist and managing director for the Workhouse Military and the Arts Initiative. And we're going to spend a few moments today reviewing and going over what is art therapy, what the benefits of art therapy are, and also what is art as therapy. The title of this presentation is Healing Through the Arts, and I truly believe that art is a tool for being able to find healing. So talking a little bit about the difference between art therapy and art as therapy. And then we're going to move into a time where being able to create and have that space today during this presentation for any materials that you might have to be able to pause in the moment and create and be able to have that experience and maybe get to talk a little bit more about using art as a personal healing tool. And then at the end, we will close and have some time for Q&A. So just to introduce a little bit more about my current work. So I am the art therapist at the Workhouse Military and the Arts Initiative, which is a program of the Workhouse Art Center located in Lorton, Virginia. This is about 20 miles south of DC and is a program that is offered to our veterans, active duty service members, caregivers, spouses, and dependents. This is a program that is grant funded and completely free to anyone that would like to participate. The program offers fine arts engagement in arts education classes. It offers a tuition and subsidy assistance program for being able to take any classes here on the Workhouse campus. And it also has the component of the art therapy piece, which is offered through individual or group art therapy. And we also have an open studio, which kind of touches on that art as therapy piece that I'll talk about a little bit later. So on this slide, I have our mission, which is at the heart of the Workhouse Military and the Arts Initiative is the desire to help improve the quality of life for our community, military service members, families, and caregivers through holistic therapeutic arts experience in art psychotherapy, art courses, workshops, open studios, and exhibitions. And you can see I'm actually in our studio space today, and we have a picture here. So we are in this wonderful space being able to create together, but also being surrounded by artists here on the Workhouse campus. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about what art therapy is and the definition of art therapy. So the American Art Therapy Association defines art therapy as an integrative mental health and human services profession that enriches the lives of individuals, families, and communities through active art making, creative process, applied psychological theory, and human experience within the psychotherapeutic relationship. So art therapy is being able to engage with an art therapist and use art as a communication tool or a healing tool, or one that will benefit being able to understand yourself or work towards therapeutic goals. And the mediums that we use range from drawing materials to sculpture to written word and a large range of the visual arts. And I know I said I was going to talk a little bit about what the difference is between art therapy and art as therapy. So specifically looking at art therapy, this is something that is for anyone, all ages, backgrounds, and experiences. You do not need to be an artist to engage with art therapy, and you do not need to have any background in art to engage with art therapy. This is a non-verbal processing within a safe and supportive environment. That means sometimes we don't have the words for how it is that we're feeling or what it is that we want to express. So being able to use the visual arts as a way of being able to say without having to verbalize. Art therapy increases the knowledge of and provides strategies and techniques for coping skills. It's very personalized. So working with an art therapist, you're going to find the personal coping skills that work best for you and being able to find the techniques that are going to be just for you and those goals that you work on with the art therapist. This is also an opportunity for self-reflection and gaining self-awareness. Art is truly a reflection of yourself and being able to put something that's important to you out into the world. So when we are creating, we truly are getting to know ourselves better and really what it is that we are thinking or feeling and being able to express it through the art that we make. Art therapy activates the whole brain. So being able to engage and be able to focus not only on your creative skills, but also being able to problem solve or process or really use the whole brain within that therapeutic space. It's guidance from a trained mental health specialist. So the art therapist has gone through a master's degree program to gain the skills in order to be able to provide this service and knows how to guide that therapeutic experience. Some of the goals that you might be working on within the art therapy space might be stress reduction, working on positive relationships, working through grief and loss, symptom management, self-esteem, or being able to process and the events that might have happened or the emotions behind an event. Then we have art as therapy. So this is a little different than the art therapy process. Sometimes though, within the art therapy space, we might be creating art as therapy, or outside of the art therapy space, you might be using art as a tool for being able to heal or express. So art as therapy isn't led by an art therapist. This can be something that is self-directed or being able to create within community. Sometimes you might have an art journal or a sketchbook that you're working within, and it is not limited to a certain type of material. Art as therapy might be painting, drawing, coloring, using fiber arts, sculpture. It might be able to reflect on art, looking at someone else's art. It might be taking a class online or being able to engage in an art class in your community. And it is being able to use art as a way of healing or being able to process, but isn't guided through the lens of a therapeutic relationship and alongside an art therapist. So I want to take some time today to allow you to have the opportunity to create. And so I want to see if everyone can maybe gather some materials, might have nearby you. I have a few things by me today. And before we get started, I will also share about this image and this quote that we have. So Eleanor Ullman is actually one of the co-founders for one of our local GW Art Therapy programs. And she is the founder of the American Art Therapy Journal. We have this quote here from Eleanor that says that art is the meeting ground of the world inside and the world outside. So truly going to that thought of being able to express anything that might be on your mind, or being able to have that self-reflection and better understand who you are. So might be one of your goals for art therapy, or it might be one of your goals when you're creating art on your own. Now we're going to move into the art experience and being able to have some time to create independently. So you might have some materials by you. Anything will work for being able to create with today. I have several different items with me. I have a larger piece of paper, and then I have scissors nearby in case I want to cut my paper down. I have a pen, I've got crayons or markers or a pencil. Anything will work. Just need a surface to be able to create on, and then something to create with. So take a moment to gather that. And then what we're going to do today is be able to create a postcard to yourself. And there are two parts to this process for today. So on one side, you're going to create an image of a special memory, a dream vacation, or a future goal. And on the other side, you're going to write a brief note or an important quote or a goal for the future, and being able to reflect on the image that you've created. Came up with this directive for today and brought it to our time because right now we have gone through a year and a half of not being able to travel and have social distancing and time away from loved ones and friends and family. And so sometimes we need to have that space to be able to reflect on the things that are important and bring us joy. So being able to create this postcard or this image or this note to yourself, and being able to give yourself that reminder of what it is that you're looking forward to, a place that brings you comfort and joy, or something that is a future goal that you're looking forward to doing. And this is something that you can do anytime. This is something that you might do within the therapeutic space and reflecting on future goals or something that brings you comfort. But also this is something you can do independently if you need that moment to reflect and just have that time to create and engage with materials. And it can be, again, anything from creating with a pencil and paper or being able to add color. There is no right or wrong. And also, there is no grading or judgment or anything that says that this image is anything other than what you need it to be. Within art therapy and creating just independently as an artist, sometimes it's hard to work through that moment of not having art experience or skills and really just allowing it to be the piece that you need. So I want to encourage today just trying to not judge or have anything in mind other than just enjoying the creative process. And sometimes in order to get into that space to be able to enjoy the creative process, you might need quiet or you might need music playing in the background. So I also want to encourage making that creative space for yourself during this time, whether that's finding music or finding a good place to sit where you are and just be able to enjoy that process and not judge what it is you're creating, and knowing that there is no right or wrong and that there is no judgment for this image. Again, there is 2 prompts for being able to focus on. You can work on both or you can create one. I've made an example here of cutting down a piece of paper to look more like a postcard or more the size of a postcard. And I have here side 1 where I've created an image or started to create an image of a special place or that dream vacation or a future goal. And then on the other side, just using a pen, I created a postcard. So being able to write who's this postcard to, and maybe a note or a poem or an important quote on the other side to be able to reflect on. And you can do this if you would like, or if you would like to focus on one side or the other side, you can do that. You can also change this and make it your own. So this is taking it and making it the postcard size, but you can also work with on a bigger piece of paper or a smaller piece of paper and just being able to focus on one of the 2 prompts. Is it an image of something that's important to you or a place or somewhere that you've been missing during the last year and a half, somewhere you would like to go, someone that you would like to write a note to, or writing a note to yourself, being able to reflect on your day, how it is that you're feeling today, and just taking that time to be within the creative process. I want to make sure for our time today that I give about 20 minutes for being able to create, and then we'll come back together and have some time to either share about this process, share what it is that you are reflecting on or something that brought you joy, and then have some time for additional questions at the end. But I also wanted to share, if you have any questions about the prompt or any materials that you have and maybe how to use them, feel free to use the chat on the webinar and be able to share those questions. I'd be happy to answer them here at the beginning of the creative time. But then I will pause my microphone so you can have that time to be able to create within either silence or add that music or whatever it is that will make that creative experience for you. Again, I want to share if you have any questions or if there's anything I can answer for you about the prompt or any materials that you've gathered to use today, please go ahead and reach out and ask in the chat feature, and I will try to answer any questions you might have. We are right at 2:20, so we will use the next 20 minutes for being able to create. I will come off mute about 5 minutes before the end of that 20 minutes and be able to kind of prompt and share that we are closing in on our creative time. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Alyssa, we did have some new attendees join. Could you just give them a little prompt just to make sure they know the audio does work? Just to know that.
Absolutely, yes. So for anyone that is joining, we are working on a creative directive, being able to use any materials that you might have close by. So that will just be a piece of paper, any size will work, and then any type of material for mark making. That might be a pen or a pencil. I have nearby me today some crayons or markers, and being able to use these materials to just take the time to create and have a moment for engaging in the creative process. Our prompt for today is being able to create a postcard to yourself. And this can look any way. So it can be on the bigger sheet of paper if you would like it to be. Or I have an example here where I've just taken a pair of scissors and cut it down to the size of what a postcard might look like. It's not exactly the right size, but similar in a little bit of a smaller space. And on one side, creating an image of something that's important to you, a special place, a special memory, a dream vacation, or a future goal. And on the second side, or the back side of the piece of paper, or on the smaller sheet that you've cut down, writing something to either reflect on the image that might be on the front, talk about a future goal, or write a quote or a poem, or reflecting on something that's important to you. And this directive came from being able to take that moment, especially during this time when we might not be able to travel and be with loved ones or friends or family, and being able to take that moment to take your mind somewhere else and just engage in the creative process, or have a piece of art to reflect on and have close by, whether that be on your desk or in a bag or somewhere where you can have that image to be able to see and know that that is something that's important to you and something that you took the time to create. Also want to share with those that are joining us that there is no grading or judging for the work that you're creating. I know as artists, sometimes we want to have an image look a certain way or be able to make an image with a certain technique, but try to engage in the creative process and just enjoy making the artwork. Know that there is no right or wrong. Any image or writing or anything that you place within your piece today is what it is that you need to be able to reflect on and what's important to you. And if you have any questions about materials that you have or any questions about the prompt, please feel free to use the chat feature and let me know what it is that I can do to be able to help, or any questions that you might have. I have been on mute and will give a time call here in the next about 5-6 minutes, just to share that we have about 5 minutes left for our time. But if you want to turn on any music or be able to find a space for creating that helps you to be able to engage in the creative process, know that that is what you need to be able to have that space to reflect and create this image for yourself. do want to let everyone know we have about 5 minutes left for creating, and then we'll take a few minutes to, if you would like, in the chat to share about how this experience was, or maybe share what it is that you are reflecting on. Please know that you do not have to, and know that I will also take any feedback about also this prompt or any questions again that you might have. And then from there, we will be able to have a few minutes for asking any questions about art therapy or anything else that you might have on your mind for today. So I will go back on mute for a few more minutes, and then we will gather back together. We'll come to a stopping point here in the next minute. Know that what you are working on does not need to be done in this amount of time. Know that this is an image or a quote or a piece that you can continue working on. It does not have to be done at the end of the 20 minutes. And also know that this is a piece that you can turn to or reflect on or keep in a place for you to be able to look at and have that moment for reflecting on a time when you did engage with the creative process, or when you need that reminder of a special place or memory or a goal or something that brings you joy. And I want to give the opportunity for anyone that might want to either share a little bit about how this experience was, or be able to share what brought you joy, or maybe what materials you used for creating today. You can go ahead and place that within the chat, and we can take a few minutes here to be able to chat about this experience, or we can continue on for the end of the presentation. I want to give that opportunity if you would like to be able to reflect on this experience.
Alyssa, we did get a question in the chat. When do you recommend doing these exercises? When somebody is stressed, or in prevention of stress in crisis? And there's a two-part to this. The other part is how often should you practice art therapy in general? Is this a daily, weekly?
A great question. So I think being able to engage in the creative process whenever you have time, or whenever you feel encouraged to create. Sometimes during a busy day, you might want to start your day off by creating and reflecting and having that time to engage in the creative process, or at the end of the day, being able to have that few minutes, whether it be 5, 10, or an hour, being able to just take that time to pick up materials, again, whether it is art materials that you might have, or just a pencil and paper, and being able to create and kind of just express either what's on your mind, or something that happened during the day, or just being able to write something down and reflect on your day. I think there is no right or wrong time to engage with the creative process. There's also no amount of time that you have to engage. Sometimes you might only have 5 minutes on a break at work or during your day, or you might have some time that you can really sit and work on a piece, or start a piece and continue to work on that for an extended period of time. Also, for engaging with art therapy, once you find an art therapist and are working with that art therapist towards goals, you create those goals, the art therapist will help guide how often you would engage or have a sessions or an appointment that you would go to. So that could be every week, that could be every other week, but really being able to create that personalized treatment goal, or being able to decide what is best for you and how often you would engage with the art therapist and those appointments.
Thank you. We have a comment on the process that we just did. Someone said, interesting, my mind stuck to the special memory. It was interesting to draw people. I tried really hard to be non-judgmental.
That's wonderful. And yes, I really wanted to keep this open. So whether it is a special memory, or people or things that bring you that joy, just being able to reflect on that and have that moment to engage and create, and take that time to pause and even think about that special memory. Because oftentimes we don't have the time during a busy day to really pause and reflect, or think about something that brings us joy. I think about the other question and being stressed, or having that moment of feeling stressed, and acknowledging that that might be a time to pause and say, let me focus on something else, or be able to engage in the creative process, or write a goal down, or just being able to acknowledge having a stressful day or moment, and just being able to pause for a moment. Thank you for sharing.
We have someone else who shared as well, Alyssa. They said, my music selection to set the tone of my favorite memory and place with my grandma, a time I was careless and happy and surrounded with love in her home. My grandma meant what she was dancing and singing to. I like the message of the song. I wish my artistic ability could show a mirror we used to dance in front of. To me, this is a reflection of a memory, and I cherish it. And then we have the lyrics too. It says, oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny. but we'll travel along singing a song side by side. I don't know what's a coming tomorrow, maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load side by side through all kinds of weather. What if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't really matter at all. When they've all had their carols and parted, we'll have the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song side by side. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And the artist is Patsy Cline.
Oh, that's wonderful and so beautiful. I also think that music is so powerful and often is something that we use when we're creating or helps us to reflect on those precious and important memories. And so it's so wonderful that you were able to have that moment to reflect and be able to share that with all of us. Thank you so, so much.
Someone else in the chat put that it was very relaxing to enjoy and revisit their dreams.
Yes, and I think sometimes when we wake up in the morning and just being able to kind of rush into the start of your day, don't have that moment to think about something that is important to you or future goals and dreams or something that you want to reflect on. And so taking that time to just acknowledge also what are things that you would like to do, what are things that are important to you, what is it that you would like to do that brings you joy or something in the future. It could be the near future or in the distant future, but being able to have those goals and dreams to reflect on are so important.
And we have another comment too. It's reflecting on scenic train trip along Loch Lomond, Scotland. I'm sorry, I think I pronounced that incorrectly, but created a collage and the colors of the mountains with soft blue white clouds with sun peeking through with oil pastels. My trip October before the lockdown.
Oh, thank you for describing. I know we are not sharing our images, but really being able to see what it is that you experienced and be able to share that with all of us. One thing that you mentioned that didn't have or I didn't share is a possible material choice is collage. So any images that you have or magazine images or images that you find online, you can always use those and incorporate those into your piece or be able to use them as kind of that reference photo or something that you can use in addition to anything that you might draw or reflect on by writing or being able to add a quote to. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Also in the chat, we had that participants have used pen and paper as well as colored pencils with their paper.
That's great. Yes. So sometimes you might not have an art studio or art materials that you have nearby. So being able to just use a pencil and paper or pen and paper and being able to create anything that you have that is going to make a mark on another surface is creating and engaging with the creative process. Something that you might want to have with you if you only have that 5-minute break during the day is a piece of paper. Maybe it's a notebook, a small sketchbook, or a pencil, or a set of colored pencils, something that might be easy to carry in a bag or have in a desk or in a special place in your home that you can go to and very quickly kind of engage with the creative process, even in that short amount of time.
Yes, well, thank you, Alyssa. For right now, those are what I see in our Q&A box.
That's wonderful. Thank you all so much. Also for just taking that time, even if you didn't have the time to create or just started reflecting and being able to think about what might be a special memory or an important place or a quote, or being able to think about another time and somewhere that you've been, you really, even if you didn't create it and make a visual representation of it, you still engaged with the creative process using your imagination or being able to reflect and just think about that time, that special memory or that quote or something that brings you joy. I always think that it's just a good reminder that that's something that we can do during the day or at the end of the day, or anytime you start to have that moment of wanting to have that time to pause and reflect. So thank you for engaging and being able to create and share your work with us today. We'll just spend a few more minutes. Wanted to have a few more slides to share and then open up for any questions you might have. I think this is a really wonderful quote and speaks to the process of art therapy from George O'Keeffe. I found that I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way, things that had no words. So really being able to take whatever mark making material you have, create a shape, a color, a line, anything that might be able to express how you're feeling in that moment. And I think that is the beauty of being able to engage with the visual arts and use art as a healing tool for in the moment, or also being able to engage with the art therapist and have those long-term goals or things that you're working on to be able to express and have what you're feeling on the inside be shown and heard through the artwork that you make. Thank you so much for letting me spend this time being able to share about something that is so important and that I am passionate about. I wanted to make sure that I shared my contact information with everyone in case you have any additional questions or would like to hear more about art therapy or our program here at the Workhouse Art Center. I've also included 2 flyers about different programs that we have here at the Workhouse and part of the Workhouse Military and the Arts Initiative. One for adolescents, ages 12 to 18, and then our open studio that happens every Saturday from 12 to 3. Both of these are currently programs and options that we have registration for and have a limited number that can attend right now for social distancing and wanting to make sure that we have everything prepared for everyone in our group. But please feel free to reach out. I have my phone number and also my email address. And then our last slide is if you have any questions about art therapy or are looking to engage with an art therapist, the American Art Therapy Association and their website are a great place and resource for being able to read articles or find an art therapist. If you're not located within the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, they also have an interactive map where you can find and look for an art therapist in your area. So I think this is a great tool to be able to go to, learn more about art therapy, more than I was able to share today, or to be able to find an art therapist close to you. And with that, if anyone has any questions or if there's anything else I can share with you today, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions.
We did get a few questions in, Alyssa. We have family caregivers often struggle with stress and compassion fatigue. What are some ways in which family caregivers can apply some concepts of art therapy to reduce stress?
That is a great question. So yes, I think about being able to find that time during the day to be able to engage with the creative arts process and just have that moment for being able to engage. So whether that's being able to bring art for the whole family and have that moment where everyone is creating together, or in that moment in between things throughout the day, being able to have those materials ready and prepared for that time that you have. I think of being able to engage with more art as therapy, and some of the examples in the presentation of having an art journal or a sketchbook, any painting or drawing or sculpture or fiber arts materials, being able to have a long-term piece that you're working on. So maybe you have a painting and the paint material set up and ready to go, in a special place, or you might be working on a fiber arts piece, a weaving or a quilt or crochet, and being able to pick up and engage with that piece whenever you have that time. When you are engaging with an art therapist, that might be something that has to be scheduled, but there are right now options for being able to engage with an art therapist through telehealth services and virtual platforms. So you might not have that time to go in person, but being able to find an art therapist that might be able to provide a virtual art therapy session for you.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone, we are going to be closing in about 5 minutes. So this is your chance to get any last minute questions. Alyssa, another question came in. How can one pay for art therapy? Is this covered by major insurances? Also, are there free cost sessions like how you mentioned at the workhouse?
That's a great question. Yes, so the program that the art therapist for, we are a free program, so free art therapy services, individual or group. But a lot of art therapists, if you ask if they take insurance, they will be able to share what insurances they take. Also, if they might have a sliding scale or what that looks like for being able to pay out of pocket. So that's something that's always a great question to ask when you reach out to an art therapist, and be able to say what it is that you're looking for, whether it's being able to use insurance or if you would like to pay out of pocket, and what that cost might look like. For additional free programs and services, that might be something that you can find within your area, being able to look at the American Art Therapy Association website and look at that map, and just being able to reach out and ask for resources within your community.
Thank you. Another question that came in, Alyssa, to you do art therapy, should you really use an art therapist? Or is this something that you could do by yourself on a continual basis?
That's a good question. So that's where the difference is between art therapy and art as therapy. So art therapy is having the art therapist present within that space and having that be a therapeutic relationship, that you have the trained mental health professional assisting with therapeutic goals. Where then the other, art as therapy, is something that you would do independently, or engaging in an open studio or an art class, and being able to use art as a tool for being able to de-stress, be able to use for distraction or enjoyment, self-expression, being able to have that engagement with the creative process. But art therapy is something that you would engage with a mental health professional in order to have it be specifically art therapy.
Thank you. And at this time, we're going to get ready to wrap up. As you sign out, there will be a brief survey, so please take a moment to answer those questions to help us provide topics that you are interested in. We also wanted to invite you to our next caregiver webinar, which is Aging in Place, a panel conversation, and that will be next Friday, October 1st from 2 to 3 p.m. Alyssa, thank you again so much for your valuable information and for giving us your time and your knowledge. And to everyone in our audience, thank you for being here, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.